Good morning, everybody. It is Thursday, the 28th of September, 2023, and it's a beautiful 47 degrees this morning. Yeah, wintertime is coming, and we're going to be looking at even lower overnight temperatures down into the upper 30s in the next few days. A lot of stuff going on, so if I sound a little bit out of wind today, it's because I'm hustling. Yeah, so we are going to do a midweek video today. We're going to touch on some of the topics from the last midweek video or two to cover them. And I'm actually working on another video today, the 50-hour warranty review thing on the new LS tractor. And there's a story behind that one too. So folks, there's going to be a ton of videos coming at you here before too long. So stay tuned and sit back and enjoy. Now, to get back what we were talking about in one of the last tips and tricks video, this type of pump has the diesel nozzle and a separate pump down here in the belly. Plus it has the gas pump over here with a separate pump down here in the belly. But it has 3 flavors of fuel. Okay, that's all done electronically by solenoids down here shutting on and off different systems. So like with the ethanol versus non-ethanol gas, if somebody ahead of you got the 85 octane and you want 87 or 91, you're going to have 2 gallons or so of 85 in the hose and whatnot over here. Now, what I'm going to be using to demonstrate this today is this 4-way outlet water valve on this hydrant that's out here in the show area, okay? Now, in that pump I just showed you, it had diesel fuel on a nozzle over here, but it had 3 different octane ratings. Some pumps have 4. In this case, forget that one exists, okay? Because that is diesel, that's its separate pump, it does its own thing with its own hose. What we were referring to in the last video on the string line trimmers and their fuel is getting your full non-ethanol gas out of the pump or getting the higher octane. Most people use 85. So let's say this one's 85. In this area anyway, most places are 87, but in our area it's 85. We have 87 here and 91 here. Okay, now most fuel stations only have 2 fuel tanks in the ground. One would be the lower octane, one would be the higher octane. And what the solenoids do in the pump, as it's pumping fuel through the hose and the nozzle and into your car, is it opens up different valves, okay? Now, notice I said there's 2 tanks at these gas stations. There's not 3. They don't have, like here in our particular case, an 85, an 87 octane tank and a 91 octane tank. What they do is when you want 85, this little valve here opens up. Then you get your 85 octane gas, okay? You want your 91 octane gas, this one opens up and pumps out of the 91 octane fuel tank, storage tank at the gas station. And all this fuel goes up and into the pump and out to the hose, okay? So that's where you're getting all of your fuel. That's the different octane rating, or in the case of the non-ethanol fuel, you're getting from here up through the pump and out to the nozzle with everything else but what you wanted. And you said, Dave, you said there's only 2 tankfuls or tanks of gasoline at a gas station, the low octane and the high octane. How do you get the mid-grade? So this is the 87. Remember, we got 85 and 91. So how do you get 87? Okay, you open the 85 and you open the 91 and you pump out of both tanks, and this thing mixes it 50-50, which works out to about your 87 octane. So yeah, if you're concerned about what octane rating you're getting, be aware that whatever somebody pumped through the entire system from here up through the pump and the plumbing inside the pump assembly and the hose and the nozzle is whatever the last person got. So that's why we always flush out the system when we're trying to get the non-ethanol gas, which will be a separate deal here in a second, through all the system and into the can to take out to the farm or back to your house, so you can put the non-ethanol fuel in your lawnmowers and weed trimmers and that sort of thing. Now this pump has 3 nozzles, okay? You got your regular gas nozzle here that does your 85, 87, and 91. It has the blue nozzle over here that does non-ethanol, and the green nozzle that does diesel. Okay, now I'm going to interrupt again. This is the pump we're just looking at with the 91 octane, the 87 octane, the 85 octane, and the non-ethanol gas. Same setup, same scenario. One pump pumping all the gas, and it's up here above this mixing valve where the solenoid valves are at, okay? So you got somebody coming in buying 85 octane, okay? They're done pumping, so that shuts off. Next person comes in, they want non-ethanol. So this solenoid valve opens up this line from the non-ethanol fuel tank, storage tank at the gas station or wherever you're getting your fuel from, and that goes through this manifold to the pump that pumps the fuel. It sucks it out of the storage tank at the station into the pump and up through the plumbing in the pump and out to the hose and to your nozzle. So this is where that 2 gallons of fuel that comes from that I keep saying you need to pump that out into your vehicle's tank, about 2 gallons or so, and then you should have just the straight non-ethanol gasoline coming through the system to put into your can to take back for your lawnmowers and weed whackers and that sort of thing. Because when you're buying the non-ethanol, all these solenoid controlled valves are in the off position. You're not getting any ethanol blended fuel. You're getting this, but it's what's from here up that you have to worry about. Now most pumps with a pump nozzle that does the 85, 87, and 91 octanes, there's solenoids that, like I said, that switch between the 3 grades. This particular pump also has a diesel pump in it, and I'm not sure if it has 3 pumps in it or not. A lot of these are wide enough down here there can be 3 pumps. This one might only have 2, so I'm still going to go ahead and pump out a couple of gallons of the 91 no ethanol into the pickup, so I know I've got the non-ethanol in my can for the equipment out at the farm. Okay, I'm sorry we're using such a poor example today, but it's what I've got to work with in short order fashion here to get this video done for you, so you have a little clearer understanding of what I was talking about. Some fuel pumps at your gas station will have 4 octane ratings. They'll have like 85, 87, 89, and 92. Okay, those solenoids are a little electronic gizmo. It's usually a spring-loaded metal plunger that there's a magnet thing that activates on it that's controlled by the computer in the gas station's pump. Now, if you have a pump with the 4 different flavors of octane on it, as you're pumping one of the 2 mid-grades of octane, you'll likely hear clicking noises coming from the pump. That's these little electronic valves opening and closing down here on these 2 actually to get you these 2 octane ratings. You got to remember there's nothing here. This is just to show you where the octane ratings are. But in any case, whether you have 3 octane ratings or 4 on your gasoline pump of your regular ethanol blended gas, there's little electronic valves on the low octane and the high octane lines coming in from the storage tanks, whether they're above ground or below ground at your particular location where you're getting your fuel. And those little valves open and close as you're pumping gas, and that's where you hear that clicking noise, and that's how you're getting your 2 mid-grade octane ratings, is because those valves opening and closing by the computer telling it when to open and close so that you get the octane that you have chosen, whether it be the 87 or the 89 octane. Because remember, these 2 are 85 here and 92 there usually. This particular company also color codes their nozzles, which is a real help if you haven't noticed that before. In this case, the where's my finger? There's the green diesel panel and green handle on the nozzle. Non-ethanol is the blue for this company. There's the blue handle. So you push the button down below the color panel you want and you get your fuel out of whatever one. Now the 85, 87, and 91 octane, I'll go over here to that black handle. That can be a real handy feature for doofuses like me that just quite honestly forget what they're doing some days. Hopefully this has cleared up a little bit of the confusion some of you had that you were communicating to me about what I was talking about the solenoids, the valves, and how there's fuel in the system that you had to get out of to get whatever octane rating you wanted or the non-ethanol fuel. And it's in that line. The pumps, the actual liquid pumps in the dispensers, what we all call a pump at the gas station, is a suction pump. So it sucks the fuel from the storage tanks at the station through those little solenoid mixing valves and into a manifold. It goes from there to the pump, and then the pump goes through piping inside the pump for the meter and all that type of thing, and then goes out to the hose and to your nozzle. So yeah, always remember you're getting at least 2 gallons of whatever somebody bought ahead of you. Some of you have asked about what they use to kill the vines and the leaves on the potato plants. Well, I did a little my own Google search real quick and I come up with several different answers, and any way you cut it, it's still a chemical. There's been a lot of questions on what chemicals that I mentioned or didn't mention in the video about the potato vines and what they use to kill them down so quickly before they harvest them. Well, I went online, did my own quick little Google search, and I come across an answer from the University of Idaho. Yes, right here in the state of Idaho. Now, what they say is that they can use anything from sulfuric acid, paraquat, Reglone, Rely, or AIM, or a chemical called Vita. Now, don't know what the lifespan of those are and whatever. It's still a chemical, folks. They're putting that on your food to make it easier for the big farmers to harvest their crops quicker and faster. That's all it boils down to, instead of using one of those roller wheel things to mash the vine, break it, and then let it dry that way. Now here is a quick shot of one of the rubber-tired vine rollers that are started out being homemade around the area. What they are is a round rubber truck tire, usually like a 20 or 22 inch truck tire that has a large, fairly large 6-8 inch diameter piece of steel pipe in the middle of it. They lay it flat, center that steel pipe with the outer diameter of the tire. They lay it on some sort of a board of plywood or whatever, and then they fill the gap between that steel pipe and the inside of the tire with concrete. That gives it the weight. Now that larger hole in the middle of that with that steel pipe, you put a smaller piece of steel shafting through that. That lets each individual rubber tire float up and down to follow the terrain to ensure a better die down of the vines by hitting more of it. Some people have said, well, why don't you just use a steel drum like this one? Okay, you can if it's narrow enough and you hook them together in a series or a gang. If you use one long one like you can with those tires, 14, 16, 20 foot long or whatever, the tires can pivot and rotate at different speeds when the farmer gets with the tractor at the end of the field and goes to make a turn. Those solid steel rollers, like what you roll your lawn with or that sort of thing, they don't turn worth a hoot when you get to the end of the field. One side wants to run ahead, one side wants to dig in and build up dirt in front of it. It just tears up the ends of the fields. So unless it's real narrow, it isn't going to do much good at the ends. It'll still have so much twist to it that it'll tear up the ground and dig up potatoes, damage them, and McDonald's doesn't want damaged potatoes. Okay, this is a little bit of a different video on the tips and tricks subject for homesteading and prepping, but hopefully this will answer some of your questions that you've asked me about regarding those two videos. Anyway, this is going to wrap this one up. I've got a ton of stuff to do today and tomorrow, and 2 days off, so you all have a good one. Be kind to others. Treat them as you'd like to be treated. And remember, when you go to the big box store, they don't have a lot of employees anymore because the economy is getting tough and those employees are getting overworked. So be kind and courteous to them as well. Anyway, I'm Farmer Dave wishing you well. Y'all be careful out there, and please don't forget, right down there, do subscribe. Anyway, we'll catch up with you later. Bye-bye for now.